Hello everyone. Today I would like to introduce you to the tailwheel planes and how to manage the takeoff and landing. Basically, a tailwheel plane is different from the tricycles plane because of the center of gravity. The center of gravity in the tricycle planes we have forward to the main wheel. So the tricycle plane or nose wheel plane, they are stable for their nature. But a tail wheel has its center of gravity on rear compared to the main wheel. So this kind of plane on the ground operation is unstable for its nature.
During the ground operation, and especially during the transition moment, there is the most delicate moment between you raise your tail during the takeoff or you touch down during the landing. This moment is very delicate because you have not completely control on your wheel, but you cannot have completely rudder authority. So in the end, you have not full control on your plane. And so how we can manage this? Usually during ground operation, for all the time, you have to keep pulling the stick on your belly. In this way, you act directly on the elevator and the focus is to squeeze the plane on the ground. So in this way, your tail wheel is completely attached to the ground of the airfield, and you can control the plane fully with your pedals and with your brakes especially. Also, if you have to manage the brakes and you push the brakes, you avoid that the plane can have some accident, because as can you see, this lever there is very big disadvantage on this axis. So during the takeoff, you have to pull back the stick on your belly completely until you acquire the rudder authority. In this way, full throttle, the stick on your belly, and the plane is squeezed on the ground, and you can control the direction with your brakes and with your pedals brakes. Then when you acquire enough speed to have a rudder authority, you have to push gradually the stick forward in order to help the plane to acquire the good attitude. It means the plane start to rise the tail, and in this moment you have rudder authority. You have no control anymore on your wheels, but just you can manage the direction with the rudders. Now, what I want to show you is that if we imagine the ideal tracks on the ground, this plane is, for his nature, very unstable, and you have to always manage with play with the rudder to adjust the direction. Very dangerous during takeoff and landing, especially during the transition moment, that if your tail wheel go outside the track, immediately you lose control and you can have a very bad accident. So keep squeezing the plane on the ground, keep your control on the wheel when you are under the speed to have a full rudder authority. Then gradually you push the stick when you have enough speed, and the plane raises the tail, and in this moment you have control only on your rudder.
Now, we have two ways to land a tail dragger. On 3-point landing, that means I have to touch down the airstrip with all the wheel on the ground in the same time. Or the other way is called the wheel landing. That means I have to approach the final and touch down only with the main wheel, that they are the wheel in front of our airframe.
So first of all, we have to to see what said our operative manual, because not for all the plane is possible to touch down on 3 points. And some operative manuals say you, okay, this plane you can only manage with the wheel landings or with 3 points landing. But there are the majority of these tail dragger you can manage as it's required. And what is the difference? We have to consider the airflow. So you approach the final, and the airflow has this direction compared to your angle of attack. Then you start to raise the nose because you want to lose inertia, and finally have the correct speed to touch down. So in this moment, if we have not very strong wind, we can try to pull until we have a very low speed, very close to the stall speed, and we have something like 20 centimeters between the wheel and the ground, and your plane start to flare and touch on 3 points, very gentle. And this is nothing so different compared to the 3 cycles airplane. But look what's happened if we have, for example, very strong wind or gusty. As the gusts are probably the most tricky situation. So you want to approach the plane, then you start to raise the nose, and then you want to flare. But if the wind is very strong, the angle of attack is start to increasing, close to the majority of the lift produced on your airfoil, close to the strong wind, and your plane can have not the capacity to touch down, and it can rise again, and you can start to jump, and this is the most dangerous thing because you jump until you can crash. The same with gusts. Maybe you have, I don't know, the good wind to frontal wind to approach and landing, and meanwhile you start to flare, a gust arrives and immediately push you higher, and you in the end will follow the same destiny. In this situation, for example, it's better to approach the landing with just the wheel landing. So you approach, and in final you have not to raise the nose so much, you keep a little bit of throttle, and you start to lose your inertia, but keep the level parallel more or less with the ground. And then you touch down with the main wheel, keep the tail raised from the floor. Then you have to play with your stick and try to lose inertia, but without to raise the nose too much, to avoid to jump in the air again. So you gentle, pull until your speed is reduced enough, and then you are able to squeeze the tail wheel on the ground, and in this moment you can start to use the brake.
So let's go.
clear prop. So, as you see, on the ground operation, keep back your stick on your belly, keep the control on the ground. And one of the advantages of the dragger is to have the propeller very far away from the ground, especially if you have to afford the grass airfield. And in the past it was very common to have not concrete airfield. So we check the trim, and we also lock the tail wheel during takeoff and landing to have better stability. Okay, now we check all the mobile surface, aileron okay. Rudder okay, full free also the elevators. And now full throttle, full back stick, belly, pull, release the brake. Try to keep this configuration until around 40 miles per hour. Display is yes, now the attitude, release gentle stick, and now we have to keep the control on with the rudder. Keep the direction, and now pull back again, and we are in the air. Airfield is in Slovakia. It's close to a town called Mitra. It's one of the two airfields I'm using for my PPL license student. I'm flying from here. are approaching the runway. We keep this descent and we try to keep about 80 miles per hour because this plane is not to note the anemometer. And we keep just a little bit of throttle. Very gentle. After I met to this threshold, we try to rise a little bit the nose to keep the plane parallel to the ground, but we do not cut off completely the engine and touch down on the main wheel, the proper speed. We are keeping the control on the thanks to the rudder. Our tail is still raised. Now the tail is on the ground. We pull and keep pull completed and we can start to use the brake.